Hey everybody!
Welcome.
It's been a while since we were last on air.
Yep. But we're here now.
Sorry about that. Life got in the way.
Freaking life.
So, before we get into our topic for tonight, which I'm really excited about,
Super stoked.
some news that we need to cover.
Mm-hmm. What's your news?
Well, the big news for me is that Puzzle & Dragons Super Mario Edition came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it is beyond all sorts of awesome. It is so much fun. I've been playing it. If I can pry it away from my son, I get to play. And it's a lot of fun. Like,
nice.
You get your different leaders or power-ups for Mario and Luigi, and as you progress in the game, you unlock Peach and Rosalina and Bowser. And
That's cool.
it's really cool. And Toad, like, you get different Toads, the different colors of Toads, and you get Yoshi and stuff. So it's really fun. The other side of it is Puzzles and Dragons Z, which is more of like a Pokemon type game where you're running around a overworld and kind of encountering people and doing battles with them. It's not as exciting as I thought it would be. It's not as engaging.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about the story, but it's overall it's a pretty decent game, and there's a crap ton of content in it.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. I'm glad I bought it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Witcher 3
Yeah.
since it came out. And one thing I want to talk about in regard to that game specifically and how it ties in with our topic tonight, I'll kind of save for a little bit later, but I'm really liking the game. Like, a lot more than I liked Witcher 2, and I really liked Witcher 2. But I think the addition of monster hunts, like all the contracts you can do, like there's a ton of them.
Right on.
And I think that really adds a lot to it because it makes you feel like the Witcher, like you're supposed to.
Right.
I really liked Witcher 2, but I never understood why he was getting so caught up in everything going on when...
Right, all the political stuff.
He's a monster hunter.
Yeah.
And I never really... Like, it was fun, but I never felt fully invested in the story.
Right.
As well done as it was, it just didn't make a lot of sense for him to be so as involved as
he was. Yeah.
So that was kind of my major gripe with that, and I guess I'm really glad to say that he's really cool.
Wait, did you get
really cool
the guide?
I did.
Right on.
It's a cool guide, and it came with like a little
it looks awesome.
Compendium
just sitting over there.
book. Yeah, it's a really cool book, and it came with a map.
I'll have to check it out. Afterwards.
Yeah, it's cool. It's got a little
Hey,
art
Joe
section
Vance.
in it. All right, Joe Vance.
Gamer Mexi canceled on us.
He did.
So we miss him.
So some other news. I heard...
Wait, can we talk about the Silent Hill? Do you not you want to talk about it?
We can talk about it.
So it's been debunked. It's not a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they say.
So they say.
So they say.
My brother actually drew up a picture of the Red Pyramid mech suit we were talking about.
Sarius, I always say this name wrong. Sarius? Ciari? How do you say his name? I always say it. I know this.
Sias V2? Sias V2?
Yeah.
That's how
I know
I've always
him.
said it. I know him.
He's
He's on my friends list.
on my friends list too.
So
I've never known how to say that name.
yeah,
But,
so maybe he can tell us how to pronounce this.
That's
Give
my
us a
bad.
pronunciation guide, but I've always said it Sias.
Yeah,
So
Sias.
welcome.
Thank you for
Sias.
joining us,
Yeah.
Sias. Like Shia LaBeouf? Is that how it's like just Sias? No, never mind.
Maybe.
Wait, Sias wants to see the cool figure. Which
cool
figure?
I've got lots of cool figures.
Show him the coolest one, the most recent edition.
The most recent edition?
The most recent edition.
Okay.
This
Here
is
we
so
go.
awesome. Talk about it, Colt.
So this is Thrasher suit, Batman. It's Batman's mech suit that he dons in the Court of Owls storyline.
Court of Owls or Night of Owls? I thought we talked about
Well,
this.
it's the Court of Owls storyline.
It's the Court of Story, yeah.
So I just say that. I mean,
Same one. The ones with the owls.
Yeah.
The Talons.
yes.
Where the Talons invade the Batcave.
Yeah, they attack him at Wayne Manor. He makes it to the Batcave, and then shit goes down.
It's after the maze, right?
Yeah, after the maze.
After
so
the
he's
maze.
still recovering from that.
Yes. Awesome.
I mean,
So
it's a
awesome.
huge figure.
It
I mean,
is.
it doesn't do it justice without something.
Something next to it. Yeah, get the Talon.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I was going to get Dark Knight Batman, but... So here's the Talon assassin from the same line and same story. And I mean, look at the scale of that. I mean, it's huge. Can they even
Yeah.
see it on there?
Yeah, they can. No, they can't. There we go. So this is the Talon. This is the Thrasher suit.
Yes.
He's massive. The Thrasher suit is in Night of the Owls, which is the sequel to
Court of Owls.
Court of Owls.
Direct sequel.
Yeah, so it's. I don't think it is the New 52, is it?
Shoot, I don't know if it's New 52. What does the book say? It should.
Oh, there went the Talon.
It should say on there if it's New 52 or not. Part of,
Yeah. Anyway.
yeah, it's part of the New 52.
Is it the New 52?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. I can't get the Talon to stand up.
Oh, that's all right. We'll do that.
There we go. Got it.
But I mean, just such an awesome.
It is an awesome
storyline.
figure. Yeah, looking at the Hulkbuster, that would be awesome.
Right, a Hulkbuster Thrasher
Yes.
suit throwdown.
Maybe when I'm rich.
Yeah, I know, right?
That thing, I think the one I was looking
Yeah,
at
here
was
we go.
like 800 or some odd. Yeah, so this is the comic that's it's in,
Mm-hmm.
and it does. I mean, it does a really decent job of matching.
It really does.
You look at the
It's a
the
very
details and everything in it.
yeah, it's a very
really
satisfying figure. I'm still having trouble logging in here.
Uh,
Sorry if I'm a little distracted.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
Anyway,
get-
so the City of Owls, not Night of Owls.
Yeah,
City of
Owls.
Owls. Gamer Mexi actually was telling me about Batman Endgame. Have you
yeah?
read it?
I have not.
I need to check it out.
Which one's that?
I haven't read it. He was just telling me it's really good and I need to read it.
Cool.
So
And we still need to check out the Flashpoint series.
we do
that
need
we
to
talked
check out
about last time we
Flashpoint
were on.
for
Where
sure.
Thomas Wayne becomes Batman and Martha
Yeah,
becomes the
the
Joker,
Joker.
basically.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, interesting. Which I replayed Origins. I didn't play it. I watched it on you. I watched a playthrough of Origins again because I was feeling nostalgic, and I thought that was. I know it gets a lot of hate. I thought it was a really, really well done game.
At the end of the day, it's a fun game.
Yeah.
I mean, is it as good as Arkham City, as Arkham Asylum? Maybe not.
No, maybe not.
But it does a lot of cool things. I like the idea of the assassins.
I did too.
I think
Although
it could have
I
been.
thought they-
It could have been implemented a bit better.
Yeah, and Deadshot was kind of not in there.
Yeah, it was a weird one-off
Yeah.
thing with Deadshot. And you don't. Are you even Batman? Yeah, you're Batman.
Yeah, you're Batman, but you don't fight him.
Yeah, you don't fight him. You just. Well, you kind of fight him. It's the one in the museum, right, where you have to stalk him.
Yeah.
But you don't really fight him. You take out all the other thugs and you have to beat him down. That's
Yeah.
about it. So you fight him, but for a whole 5 seconds.
I mean, it's not without its flaws, but I still thought it was a really great game.
Right.
I loved how they introduced the Joker in it. Mm-hmm. Taking over Black Mask and everything.
I think that was my big disappointment. While I did like how they did it, I was also disappointed that they didn't stick with Black Mask being the main villain.
Yeah,
it
me
was
too.
another Joker story. And
It was another
that's
Joker
not
story.
what they were selling us
Which
with the promotional stuff.
I think the reason I'm so excited for Arkham Knight is because it's not a Joker story.
Yeah.
He's not in it. He's dead in this universe. So
Yeah. And how awesome that they're
I
going
think-
with Scarecrow as the
yeah,
main villain.
I think we're going to see a lot of fallout from Joker being dead. I mean, we kind of did with Harley Quinn's Revenge already,
Right.
but I still think that we're going to be dealing with some of that stuff.
Well, the main idea that I think is going on is the reason why in Arkham Knight everything is going to hell is because the Joker's gone. I
Yeah.
think with the Joker being gone, I think the rest of the supervillains are kind of trying to fill the gap that
Yeah.
he leaves. And I think that's why everything is in chaos, for
Right.
Batman. So, unless the Arkham Knight turns out to be the Joker.
That's what Sias just said. It's like,
Nice.
the Arkham Knight is
Nice.
the Joker.
Well, we know he's not Red Hood.
He's not Red
He's not
Hood.
Jason Todd, which a lot of people are saying, because you can play as Red Hood in the game.
Yeah.
It's like a pre-order bonus.
Oh, really?
There's story
Interesting.
missions with Red Hood.
And it launches in like 4 days, right? Not 4 days, but in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, the 23rd.
I was gonna say today's the first. Is it the first or second?
Second. Today's the
Yeah.
second.
Anyway,
Man, it's gonna be so.
it's
awesome.
coming out soon.
It's gonna be so awesome.
We're gonna stream it that night.
Yes, we will.
It's gonna be awesome. Did you get a collector's edition for us to
I
unbox?
did. I got the.
So we'll get to do another unboxing.
Yeah, we'll do another unboxing. Dude, that Mortal Kombat unboxing was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Our Mortal Kombat build-up week, I guess.
That
whatever you
was
call it.
fun.
That was a lot of fun.
We should do that. We should play City.
We should.
Arkham City the night the week before.
We should. That would be a lot of fun.
It would be fun.
That'd be
Talk
cool.
about Batman. It seems like we always talk about Batman,
Yeah, we always get on Batman.
but
We love
it's
Batman.
because Batman's so
the
iconic,
Batman.
you know.
He's awesome.
Other news. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about.
I wanted to talk about. I heard a rumor, read a rumor. I didn't do a lot of follow up on it, but the new Nintendo system
It's going to be based on Android.
On Android, right?
That's exactly what I was going to talk about too. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was
interesting.
really, really interesting because I think that bridges the gap between them and mobile,
which they're pushing for anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's going to be. That was a really interesting announcement, and I watched the micro Nintendo Direct, which it was kind of weird, but I am really excited for Chibi Robo. Did you see the?
I didn't see that.
It looks like a lot of fun on the 3DS. It's kind of a platformer Chibi Robo.
Nice.
Jovan said Nintendo denied that.
Denied what? The Android.
The
thing?
Android base.
I haven't read.
Interesting.
any
I just saw
denials.
the initial release. What was the other game that they announced? So let's talk about Splatoon. Have you played Splatoon?
I have not.
Okay, so I played the demo that came out, like, it was, I don't know, like a month ago. There was a demo for it. It's a lot of fun. It's what I imagine Nintendo would do with the Halo franchise.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea I got. It's like a multiplayer,
but it's so much
shooter,
fun.
But with a Nintendo layer of paint.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
No pun intended. But you're squids.
Yeah,
squid humans.
Squidumans.
Squidumans, yeah.
Squidumans.
It's a lot of fun, and it's getting a lot of traction right now. Splatoon is. So
I hope it's not iOS based.
I hope it's not iOS based either.
That's just stupid.
I hope Nintendo continues to do their own operating system.
Well, they don't need anybody else. I read somewhere that Nintendo has so much money in the bank that they could, until 2020, they could report a deficit of $120 million per year and still be just fine. Be able to maintain until 2020. I don't know if that's true, but
Humans. That was a great one.
That's a good one.
That's a great one.
Not as good as Squidumans, but
speaking of that much money, so did you play Monster Strike?
No.
You got to play it.
Monster Strike.
Monster Strike. It's the game I've been playing on my phone a lot lately to replace Puzzles and Dragons on my phone because I'm playing Puzzles and Dragons on my DS.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun. I showed it to you, didn't I?
That's the one that was like
pinball. It's like pinball.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It makes $3.7 million a day.
I got my eldest sister hooked on Hearthstone. She's like,
that's awesome.
40.
That's awesome.
And she's like I was just talking to her today. She's like saying that her husband was mad at me because she was up until 6 a.m. one night playing Hearthstone on her phone.
Nice.
I was like, hey.
Jovan said 2020 is only 5 years. If I don't have $120 million to lose every year for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll take that money. Hearthstone. Yeah, I kind of burned myself out on Hearthstone.
Yeah.
So I'm playing a new one on Steam called Infinity Wars.
Oh, okay, is that the
fully animated trading card game?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. At first I wasn't like, it's not as good. The cool thing about it is you have two zones, right? You have your attack zone, and then you have a defense zone that you can play your cards into. So it kind of adds another level of strategy to the game.
Nice.
Because you make your changes, so you have to anticipate what your opponent's going to do. So if he's going to play a really high-powered card,
right,
you're going to want to put some stuff into defense. But then if he puts it into your attack, then all your attacks can die. So it's a really interesting game. It showed up in my Steam queue as something I would be interested in, so I said, it's free, I'll play it. And yeah, it's an interesting game.
Cool.
Yeah. I beat Pillars of Eternity.
And?
It's a really good nostalgia game. As a standalone game, I don't think it's as strong as everybody says it is.
Okay.
It does scratch that itch for Planescape Torment until Shades of Numeria comes out. And so I did enjoy playing it. I'm going to go through and play it all over again. I'm going to play the game again, but the story wasn't quite as intriguing as I wanted it to be. The gameplay with the pause and the characters that you encounter and stuff weren't quite as developed as I thought they should be. But overall, it was a really fun game. If you like those types of games, it was a fun game.
Nice.
So, that was my take on it.
Very cool.
It's not... It wouldn't be on my list. Let's say that. It's not going to bump Planescape Torment off my list.
Okay.
Or even Baldur's Gate. You know,
Yeah.
I still think that those games are better experiences than Pillars of Eternity. So,
Interesting. So we mentioned Silent Hill. Did we talk about it?
I don't think we did.
I think we mentioned that we got
Yeah, then we got distracted.
off on I think we got into a Batman tangent.
We did get off on a Batman tangent.
So the rumor was that Microsoft was going to buy out PT.
Yes.
And the Silent Hills title, basically.
Yes.
And
For a moment, I was
a little
excited.
nervous.
I was a little
nervous.
excited,
I don't
and
know
then
if
I was like,
excited.
I don't know if that's going to be a good move.
Like, I was excited by the fact that it might live on, but then I was like, wait, Microsoft will destroy it.
Yeah.
They'll put their brand on it. And then that's when me and Magic Wolf started joking about
Yes.
Haloizing the Silent Hill.
Haloizing Silent Hill.
We basically came up with an idea of a you pilot a mech suit named the Red Pyramid.
Yes. Which is not to say that I wouldn't want to play that
Oh,
game.
yeah, but would it be a Silent Hill game?
But it wouldn't be a Silent
No,
Hill game.
no. But it
And
was
then we
pretty
later
fun.
found out that it was not.
Yeah. So, and
Yes,
that's still
we did catch that one, Joe Vans. We did know that one was
Yeah.
denied.
Joe Vans.
Sheesh.
So,
Some kind of rumor mill Nazi. Joe
he
Vans.
likes to shut us down on our rumors.
Yes.
It's not very nice.
Listen. Nobody's confirmed a GTA 2 remake either, Joe Vans.
That's right. No one.
So,
And no one will confirm it.
never.
So speaking of remakes, though, there was another rumor I heard, but it deals directly with our topic tonight.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? I don't know this rumor.
There's a rumor that they're going to remaster Red Dead Redemption for PS4.
Oh, I still want them to.
That would be awesome.
I would love for them to
And
do
then that would segue very nicely into a sequel announcement.
Yeah, but are they going to have his son be the main
I
character?
don't know. Or will it be a brand new character? Because John Marston.
Well,
was the
I
same
heard
character
that
in Red Dead
they had
Revolver.
done they did a copyright on Red Dead Revolution.
Interesting. I don't like that name.
I think that's what it was, or maybe I dreamed it. I don't know. In my head there was a game called Red Dead Revolution, which I thought was going to be a sequel.
We could have Red Dead Revenge.
Red Dead Revenge.
That would be more
His
in lines
son.
with his son, but he does get revenge in the game.
Yeah, let's play. Let's talk.
Let's
I
do
mean,
it.
we're talking about it. So
Yeah, let's talk about it.
tonight's topic is redemption in gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what better game to talk about it than Red Dead Redemption?
And this game is fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I love John Marston. You know, I'm a literary buff. I love literature. I think John Marston is one of the most well-developed characters in gaming.
Yeah.
With possibly the exception of Joe from Last of Us. Joel from Last of Us.
You know, we had a lot of good characters come out on the PS3.
Mogi's back.
Welcome,
And Mogi. We've had him before.
I think so.
Yeah, so too. Hey, Sias. I had to think
Sias,
how to
yeah,
say it.
Sias.
If you hit the follow button, we have a special treat for you.
Yes.
But you have to tell us that you hit the follow button because we're not fancy and our producer left us.
Yeah, our producer doesn't like this anymore.
So, switching over to Red Dead Redemption.
We're not full screen.
Why not?
I don't know. How do we look on our feed, though?
Really good. It looks good.
I'm alright with it. That's
I'm
fine.
joking.
As long as it works. Alright. I haven't played
Oh,
this game
Sias
so long.
already did.
Okay, ready? One.
Wait, are we doing the V2?
Size V2.
Are we?
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
2,
One.
3.
Science V2!
Ah!
We ruined it.
It's a-
Should
one
we
more
do it again?
time.
1, 2, 3.
Science V2!
Welcome
Nailed it.
to the arena.
A new challenger approaches. Red Dead Redemption.
Or Undead Nightmare.
No. I mean, Undead Nightmare was fun.
It was fun, but
But we don't need to talk
We
about
don't.
it in terms of the
I just
story.
like that you could get the horses of the apocalypse and tame them as mounts.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was
a cool idea.
No, and Mogi did as well. I thought Mogi not a returning
Is it emoji or emoji? Emoji.
emoji. Please correct us on how we're
please.
saying
Is
it.
it a J or a G?
Yeah. And then we will do a
See,
shout out.
I'm not getting
We'll
any
do
of
a
those.
shout out for you as well. We'll do a special one. That's the first time here. We had one that was 2 M's. What was their name?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Well, let's give him a shout
Welcome,
out.
yes,
So is
welcome.
it Mogi?
Mogi.
Mogi.
Yeah, do like a
Mogi.
guttural.
Mogi.
Yeah. Ready?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Mogi!
Wow, this is
Gotta
weird.
do the air punch.
Yeah, the air punch.
God, he says it's a god.
Hey, we did it right. Again, Mogi.
Yes.
Sweet. Okay, so let's talk about this.
Okay, so the reason I love this game, I'm not a third-person shooter fan, I'm not a first-person shooter fan. In general, I'm not a shooter fan. But the storyline of this game and John Marston is such a compelling character to me that I had to finish it. I had to beat this game.
Well, and I think that's a testament to the game, because like I've said before, I love Rockstar games.
Yeah.
I never finish Rockstar games.
Exactly.
I finished Red Dead Redemption 3 times.
Yeah,
I love
think
this
I've
game.
beat it twice. I love it. And maybe, you know, he's this cowboy outlaw kind of living out some kind of childhood fantasy with playing him. Or
Yeah,
something,
I mean,
but
it's such a... There are no cowboy games out there.
Yeah.
Really.
I think the reason why, you know, I enjoy this game so much is because we're kind of getting the 2 characters in recent years that really kind of line up with me. John Marston and Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly.
Okay.
They're both kind of bad, good guys.
So it's the Han Solo type character.
Kind of, but I mean, even Han Solo, you know, I don't think Han Solo goes quite this far because he doesn't really have a family. You know? And I get Malcolm Reynolds doesn't really have a family either, but he has his crew,
Right,
and he cares
his
very
family.
deeply about his crew. And Marston,
Like, come on, Chewbacca's family.
but you know what
Chewie's
I mean.
family.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
You know, it's not
Especially
as well shaped out.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really interesting to see. Okay, here's this guy who obviously has done really, really bad things in his past, and all he wants to do is provide for his family and have his family be safe.
Yes.
That's his driving motivation. And so to see all of the events of the game build up to that final climax at the end, as you know, I guess the question is he redeemed in this game? Does he achieve redemption?
I don't think he does, because of the path that his son takes.
Browncoats forever.
What's that?
Browncoats forever. I'm all about the browncoats.
So, you know, I think that's the tragedy of the game, is you want him to find redemption. And after everything he goes through, I don't think he does.
Well, and I think the reason why the game is so well paced is because it gives you these glimmers of hope that he is going to be. Mm-hmm. You know, right up until the very end. Right up until you open the barn door.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it builds it up, like, with the dead shot.
Yeah.
Like, you feel that you can get out of this. you know?
Exactly.
And it gives you that false hope, and then...
There's no
Like,
way
I
out.
even replayed that part multiple times to try, I was like, I just gotta be faster,
Yeah.
I gotta be faster.
So I guess the beginning part of the discussion, Colt, is what is redemption, and what does it mean for characters in-game?
Okay.
Not only Red Dead Redemption, but gaming in general. What does redemption mean for characters in gaming? And what does it mean for us as gamers that we're drawn to these types of experiences? Because I think even Joel, you know, the relationship between Joel and Ellie is very much mirrors the relationship between Joel and his daughter.
Yeah.
And there is this sense of, can he redeem himself? You know, he wasn't able to save his daughter. Can he redeem himself by saving Ellie?
And I think that's what drives his final decision.
Oh, for sure.
You know.
For sure. And kind of we're seeing the same thing here, you know? Although Marston doesn't really have the... Marston. It's a T, right?
Marston, yeah.
He doesn't really have that prior, you know, I lost a family or something. He doesn't
Right.
have that motivation. He just wants to protect the family
Yeah, he
that
wants
he has.
yeah, he totally wants to protect him.
And protect him from who? I think part of it is protecting him from who he was before.
I think so.
You
know, I think he has that driving fear that his past will catch up to him in the form of his former gang.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of why he takes on the contract in the first place, to hunt him down and be like, okay, well, it's a means to an end. And
Gator Inc. DayZ new update tomorrow. Has Gator Inc. been here before?
I don't know if Gator Inc. Have you been here?
Yes. Please tell us if... It's been a while since we did a show, so I'm having a hard time remembering
me too.
Everybody that came. But we enjoy everybody who watches our show, whether you've been here or not. Yeah, so I guess my question to you, Colt, is what is redemption in gaming? And anybody in chat that wants to answer, too. Any thoughts,
can tune in.
throw in, you know?
It's hard to talk and play at the same time. You know, I would say... I think redemption would be, for a character, would be to where they get to that point where they can accept their past and whatever the fallout from their past is, good or bad.
Right.
And they can accept that peacefully.
Okay.
You know, in that sense, I think John Marston himself redeems himself.
Okay.
Gets redemption, or else he wouldn't open that barn door at the end. He'd keep running. He doesn't. He faces it.
So I mean, that's a good point. You know, he does face it, and in that act of facing it, I think he comes to grips with who he is as a person. You know, and I think that's why I love this game so much, is because it's as much a journey of discovery for us as it is a journey of discovery for John. You know, he's discovering, he knows who he was in the past, and he's running from that person. But he's not running towards who he is now.
Right.
He's running away from who he was. And I think in that final act of opening the barn door, he realizes, you know, this is how I protect my family. This is how I save them from... And he even says to his son, I can't remember the exact line, but there's something where he says to his son right at, you know, that last moment with him is, don't follow this path, or how does he say it? I can't remember the exact phrasing, but there's something where he doesn't want his son to become who he is. Something, don't let what's going to happen to you.
Don't be quick to violence, basically.
Yeah, something
along those lines.
I can't remember the exact wording because it's been a while since I played the game. But, you know, I think that in those final moments with his family, we see him finally accept who he was and who he is. You know, as the protector of his family, and he realizes that in opening that barn door, that's how he's going to protect his family. They're not going to chase down his wife and son if he's dead. Right. And so he embraces that. And it's a heartbreaking thing. And I think that most games about redemption... here's a better question. You know, can a character redeem themselves without there being some form of tragedy? Because look at our two examples, right? Yes, Gator Inc. talked about Gabriel Knight. I remember. And Clock Tower.
Very nice.
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you for coming back, Gator Inc.
Yeah, welcome back.
Jogged my memory.
Thank you.
You know,
it was a solid title to pull out with Gabriel Knight.
It was a solid title.
I was impressed by that.
Yes, that was a good title.
That was awesome.
So this is a great point from Sias. I always thought BioWare's handling of Revan and Knights of the Old Republic was a great redemption story, being confronted by the knowledge of being a great evil, and, I mean, it's up to you, overcoming it. I agree. I think that's kind of an interesting example of redemption, because unlike most of the others, you know, like we're talking about Joel, we're talking about John, they are fully aware of what has happened in the past.
True.
They are aware of what is haunting them and keeping them from embracing who they are, where your character in Knights of the Old Republic,
spoiler for an old game,
doesn't know what he's done in the past, doesn't know where he's coming from, who he is. So that's kind of an interesting version of redemption, in which you are kind of, instead of living with the knowledge of who you are, you're confronted. It's thrown in your face. This is who you are, and you have to make that judgment fairly quickly. You're hard man, aren't you? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but even thinking of redemption and tragedy, it always seems like they go together. You know, one of the literature pieces I want to talk about is Hamlet. You know, does Hamlet redeem himself at the end of his life? I'm mean, I'm torn because here's Hamlet who's killed full and then feels zero guilt about doing it. And honestly, as a watcher, if the player is a reader and play, we don't feel guilt about being strong either. But you've got these two characters in Hamlet and Laertes that are both dealing with the death of the murder of their father. Hamlet's dealing with Claudius killing his father. Laertes is dealing with Hamlet killing his father. And that confrontation at the end, Hamlet doesn't want to fight Laertes, but he realizes he's kind of put himself in this position. Because he's been so unable to act. He's been forced into this unescapable death, so to speak. And I think we see that a lot with redemption stories. That it is the choice of the character's choices that lead them to ultimately that either redeem them or kill them. And I think with Marston we see that very, very he chooses death as opposed to continuing to run and continuing to hide from it. So in that sense, I do think that's himself.
And I think that's the difference between John and Joel, because I think Joel is still running from it. I think he wants to do what's right, but in the end, when it comes down to it, he can't make that decision.
Yeah, he can't. He can't.
He can't get past his selfish nature, which is totally justified.
Yeah.
Would I make that decision in the end? Probably.
Right.
But that's why I loved Joel as a character, because he was he was human. Yeah,
he was very human. As is John.
Yes.
I think John is one of the most human characters in gaming.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if I don't know who else I would list. I think maybe Ezio.
I think Ezio would be in that discussion about redemption.
I think he's the closest because he has so many games that focus on him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really get to know him.
Yes.
Nathan Drake,
I don't know if Nathan Drake's human. I love Nathan Drake, but there's no redemptive nature to his character.
Yeah.
We get little glimpses of it here and there where you sense that he feels bad about the bigger picture. And,
he seems very flat to me.
Yeah. As awesome as he is, and he is a great character in some aspects, in the very pulpy Indiana Jones type character.
I turned the game audio down, so let me know if it's better. Sorry, Cole.
No, that's fine. But yeah, I don't think he really has to make those tough decisions, as opposed to do I go after treasure, or do I save the people I love?
Yeah.
Which by saving the people he loves, he saves the world.
Yeah.
Basically, but why does he make those decisions? We never really get to see much personal loss.
Yeah. Well, then I guess that's a really good question, though, Colt. Is for a video game character to be human and fleshed out and 3D, so to speak, not 3D as a model, but three-dimensional as a character. Do they have to have some element of tragedy in their? Do they have to have some sort of emotional scarring in order to be fully fleshed out? Because, John obviously has a crap ton of emotional scarring going on in this game.
As does Ezio, as does Joel.
Yeah, they all do. And I think, you look at Connor from Assassin's Creed 3.
Right.
I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that they made. Is they didn't really give us... we had that first where we played as his dad and everything, but they didn't really give us any emotional connection to Connor.
He was a very flat character in that sense. We don't... Yeah, his mother died. He had all these things happening to him, but we never saw that and how it affected him.
Exactly.
And
I think since we're on the topic, Edward from 4. What's his name?
Yeah,
Edward.
Yes.
When we see that scene where Blackbeard is killed, it's a really emotional scene. Because we're seeing Edward being unable to act, unable to save Blackbeard.
Right.
And we're able to look into the pain of this character, the inside of this character. And so, you look at okay, so we're kind of having this discussion of does pain equate to human character? So, can you have a human character that is a silent protagonist? is Link a character? In the sense of what we're talking as
Right.
fully fledged.
I don't know. It's
I was going to bring that up, Sias. They were the next people I was going to bring up.
Raynor and Kerrigan.
I think Kerrigan is a fascinating example of a redemption story.
Okay.
From Heart of the Swarm. Have you played Heart of the Swarm?
I have not played it, but I know the basic story arc.
So, and Raynor and Marsden are kind of very similar to me. They're both these outlaws that... Anyway, I think that the redeeming quality in both of them is their love story. Because they're these two people who were in love. And again, with Raynor, he hears the order to leave Kerrigan on... I can't remember the name of the planet. Anyway, where the Zerg are. And he's unable to do anything about it. He can't save her. Now, the interesting part about that story is normally we can't see them save a character. That character dies, and it's just a memory that haunts him.
Right.
But, Kerrigan comes back as the Queen of Blades, and she totally kicks ass and kills a lot of people. And kind of goes evil, and then not really... she's a really interesting character to begin with, because
she's complex.
She's very complex. I think Kerrigan's one of the most complex characters in Blizzard's lore.
Right.
So another really great one is Arthas. The Lich King.
The Lich King. Oh, definitely.
It's not really a redemption story. Because Arthas is so...
there's no redemption there for him.
There's no sorrow.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a good point. So does the redemption, in order for them to be redeemed, do they have to show remorse for their past deeds?
I think so. I think that's part of it, because there has to be some type of an awakening, some type of realization that their actions or motivations have caused something bad to happen for them to feel a need to change. I think there needs to be a change in order for there to be redemption.
Right.
Whatever the catalyst for that is, usually a tragic catalyst. And I think going back to Nathan Drake, we do see a little bit of that in Uncharted 2. Especially when he comes across Elena and her cameraman, and you spend an entire level packing a wounded cameraman on your hip, trying to survive, trying to shoot.
Right.
You finally get to safety, the bad guy just comes in and kills him anyway.
Right.
He has a sense, and maybe it's, his need to be the hero, but you also do see a sense that there is a humanity to him, that he's not willing to sacrifice people he doesn't even know just for the treasure. You know what I mean? He was willing to try to save this guy, even though the odds were wholly stacked against him completely.
Right.
And with Chloe telling him to just leave him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that was a hard decision for him to make. Yeah, he loves Chloe, but he also loves Elena, but he also understands that there's this guy caught in the crossfire, largely because of his actions. It's kind of his duty to try and save him.
Right.
And I think in that sense, it could be argued that maybe he's not a redemptive hero, but he's human.
Well, and I get, another question is, in order for them to be a redemptive hero, as you put it, do they need to be an anti-hero? I mean, John is an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to go back to Batman in the Arkham series. Is there a redemption story to be told there?
Let's come back to that one.
I think it's interesting.
So, Sias says, technically, Arthas is no more, Lich King supplants him. Arthas is unable to be redeemed because Arthas doesn't exist anymore, at least that's how I understood it.
So is Arthas' body basically a vessel for the Lich King, and his soul is no longer in the picture?
Well, I mean, did you read the book?
No, I did not.
Didn't you borrow it from me?
I borrowed the book
Tyrael.
of Tyrael, but that's not Warcraft.
I lent my Arthas book to someone, and I don't think I ever got it back. Anyway, I don't remember who it was. In the novel, it's a great novel. I don't think that the Warcraft novels are the most amazing literature ever written. That's not the point of them anyway. Right. But I do think that the Arthas, the novel, is the closest to a piece of literature because it deals with these very themes that we're talking about. And the last chapter of the novel is this discussion of Nar'zhul and Arthas as a child sitting at the table. I don't want to ruin it because you guys really need to go read it. But it does have that idea of who is in charge, who is actually controlling the Lich King. And I agree with Sias. I don't think Arthas can ever be redeemed because his entire being has been supplanted by this need for killing and absorbing of souls and all that kind of stuff. But to go back to Batman, and specifically in the Arkham series, I want to hear your thoughts before I tell you mine.
I think we need to see a lot of Arkham Knight before we can really make a...
Sias said he borrowed it. I lent it to someone else besides you.
Sias took it.
Is Chrono a redemptive hero? It goes back to my question. Can a silent hero be redemptive? Can a silent hero be redeemed? Can someone who we do not understand the thought process for be redeemed?
I don't know.
So for like Chrono, he sacrifices himself to Lavos. I don't necessarily think... Because Chrono's not done anything wrong. Chrono has not caused Lavos to come. Chrono is not... I mean, even like the whole where he runs into Marley and he gets thrown in jail and all of that stuff, none of it is Chrono's fault. So what does he have to show remorse for? And if he can't have remorse, he's not going to change. I mean, I think that act of sacrificing himself to Lavos is just Chrono being Chrono. Not, it's not a catalyst of change for him. He doesn't his character doesn't dramatically change throughout the game. He is the hero. He feels compelled to jump into the time machine and go after Marley. He doesn't know this person, doesn't know she's a princess, doesn't know any of that. Just jumps in to be the hero. So I think
that goes back to the question about, is he a human character? Is he a human-esque character? Are those human motivations? Those are very heroic motivations.
They are very heroic.
In a very stereotypical hero story.
Yes.
Is that a human story, though?
I don't think Chrono is a fully fledged character because we do not see his emotions. We don't know how he feels about things.
And so I think the same.
So is his motivation? Go ahead.
I was just going to say I think the same could be said for Link.
Exactly. So Link's a very heroic character.
But he's a very stereotypical heroic character.
Yeah. Well, if we don't know, so say for example we look at Chrono. He does all of these things. Now, if he goes after Marley begrudgingly, if we knew he's like, oh my gosh, I have to go save this girl, and we see this Chrono doing things begrudgingly because he knows what needs done, but he doesn't necessarily want to do it, and then he willingly sacrifices himself. I think the great example of this is Iron Man in Avengers, right? Iron Man doesn't want to kill himself.
Right.
That is not something he wants to do, but he realizes that of everybody there, he's the one that can do it.
He has the capability.
So he does it because that's... And I think that Iron Man does redeem himself in that movie from being the jackass that he is. And we all love the jackass Iron Man.
Yeah.
We love the quips and the sarcasm and all of it.
We like snarky Stark.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Snark.
But in that moment, and I think Avengers 2 really played up that a lot. He's like, do you guys remember? It was like, it was up there, and I did this. And, he was back to being the snarky.
Right.
But in that moment, he did very much redeem himself because he was willing to do that, knowing full well that there was a chance he was going to die.
And setting that part of him aside.
Exactly. With Chrono, we don't know. Did his motivations change from going after Marley, jumping into the time machine, to sacrificing himself to Lavos? Not knowing that his friends would then, replace him with a doll and all that crap would happen. Not knowing any of that. Without knowing those emotions, without knowing his motivation, we can't say that he's a fully fledged human.
Right.
Because that's what so much of being human is having emotions and having those motivations.
Yeah.
And I think the same goes for Link.
I think it could be said for Link that he is kind of the catalyst for the crap that goes down in the games, He sets off on this hero's quest, and at the beginning it's very minute. You have to collect 3 gems to unlock the Master Sword, but in doing that, especially in Ocarina of Time...
We're talking about Link to the Past?
Yeah, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time. It's kind of mixed. Same basic themes,
Yeah.
But by gaining access to the Master Sword and pulling it from its pedestal, he unleashes Ganon.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's, So from that point on, there is a need for him to right his wrong, but we don't see any remorse there.
But the question that I have, Cole, is: would have he gone after Ganon anyway?
Probably.
Had someone else released him,
Yeah, probably.
would have he gone after him anyway? So I mean, yeah, I don't know. Link's an interesting one.
You know, and I think it comes down to is Nintendo isn't telling a redemption story.
No, they're not.
They're telling a hero story. They're telling a myth. They're telling a legend.
And I mean, here's a great question: are there any redemption stories in Nintendo's library? Because it is a very mature idea, and I don't think Nintendo deals in mature ideas.
I don't know if they've necessarily tackled that.
I can't think of any off the top of my head where it's Nintendo first party game,
Right.
where they've dealt with that. I mean, there's been a lot of third party games on Nintendo consoles,
Yeah, but it's not.
it's not a Nintendo game. It's not a Mario game. Yeah. I mean, they tell a lot of hero stories.
A lot of hero
But
stories.
anyway,
That's
go
kinda
back to
their thing.
Batman.
Yeah, so I think
you died.
no, it's just in.
Okay, you paused.
I don't think I did.
Oh, okay, all right. I was just like there was someone
was
dead.
just
I'm
standing
like,
there.
wait.
So while we're here, this is my favorite area of the game.
Van Sweeney is back.
All right, Van Sweeney.
Welcome, Van Sweeney. Star Fox. Is Star Fox a redemptive character?
I don't know. I'm not a big Star Fox.
I'm not a big
buff,
Star.
so I can't answer.
Yeah,
that.
I'm not a Star
I'm
Fox
not
fan either.
Enough educated on that topic.
Give us more input
You know
there,
what?
Sias.
But while we're in this area, I want to say that I love this area of the game, and I like it because it's kind of creepy. This is the ghost town of Tumbleweed.
Yes.
And it's very creepy, and there's little hints about that this place is actually haunted. There's an actual newspaper clipping in game that talks about ghosts and stuff going on out here. And I remember spending hours and hours and hours just walking around this place looking to see if there was some hidden Easter egg that Rockstar had hidden in the game in the form of some type of ghost.
Right.
Never found it. I've never found anything online about it, but even just the simple act of just walking around, it's the ambience and the music and the atmosphere, it's kind of unsettling.
Yes.
And having, been, this is going to be a weird segue, but kind of stay with me, but I've been playing a lot of Witcher 3.
Uh-huh.
Witcher 3 reminds me a lot of Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the basic overworld, not necessarily the story missions and stuff like that, but a lot of the side missions and stuff that kind of just have that constant sense of unease. And I remember feeling a lot of that while playing through Red Dead Redemption. Especially the side quests. There's a lot of kind of creepy side quests in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
You got the one where you're going and picking flowers for the guy's wife. Turns out she's a corpse sitting in a rocking chair.
Yes.
There's the stranger mission, which is another topic, I think.
Yes.
But who is the stranger? Is
Who
it
is
the
the
devil? Is
stranger?
it death? Is John Marston dreaming as he's dying this whole adventure?
Yes.
You know what I mean? But, that's why I've really started liking Witcher 3, is because I finally made the connection that it reminds me a lot of Red Dead Redemption.
Yes.
Well,
and I think Geralt's a fascinating character, in and of himself. But I think that Witcher 3 is giving him a redemptive story.
I think so.
With his adoptive daughter and all this stuff going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to stay away because I wanted you to finish the game before I went and watched a movie of it or brought more about it so we could talk about it. But
I think it's definitely a topic we can come back to.
Yeah.
When I finish the game.
But I do think that there is, because there aren't, unlike the topic we had last time, which was Lovecraftian themes of who's in control, and
right.
I mean, we finally got to the point where all games have this element. I don't think that there are many games that deal with redemption and remorse and
right.
change. I mean, specifically a fundamental change to the character's personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because it's a very hard theme to do correctly.
Right.
There's characters that we would want to see redeemed. There's I'm trying to think of one that I can't even think of one off the top of my head, but we just don't get that fulfillment, and I think that it's a really interesting theme that we don't see a lot of developers dealing with, because I think it is very hard to get right.
I think so. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Batman in the Arkham series.
Yes, because we always talk about Batman.
We love Batman.
Actually, we're just going to rename our channel to Batman Ledger.
All things Batman, every day, all day.
Yeah, Syed said he wanted to talk about Metal Gear Solid 5 because it looks like a Big Boss redemption story. All I have to say about Metal Gear Solid is I quit paying attention. So
yeah, I don't. The last game I even finished was Metal Gear Solid 2. I tried to play Sons of the Patriots. Or no, Guns of the Patriots. What was it? 4. Metal Gear Solid 4.
Guns of the Patriots,
Guns
I think,
of the Patriots. Yeah. Anyway, I tried playing that multiple times. I hated that game. Honestly. I mean, it looked pretty. I know a lot of people love it.
It looked pretty.
I hated that game. It was such a tedious game. Like, I didn't enjoy the gameplay. I didn't enjoy it as a game.
Right.
You know, add that to all the exposition that Kojima throws into the Metal Gear Solid series. You couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. And so again, I don't have an educated... I can't discuss Metal Gear Solid because I don't know Metal Gear Solid. I don't know enough about it.
Right.
Other than...
It led me to two thoughts.
Okay.
This discussion of Metal Gear Solid for redemptive characters. Crap, I forgot the first one. The second one was Celeste from Final Fantasy VI. And we can even go to Cloud. I think Cloud does have some redemption story in 7. Specifically, like, that's all Advent Children was. Advent Children was a redemption story for Cloud. But Celeste in Final Fantasy VI, you played it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She starts out as she's a general in the Empire's army.
Mm-hmm.
And she eventually becomes... I would argue that Celeste is the main character. I know that there's a bunch of characters. I think that Final Fantasy VI is more Celeste's story than it is Terra's.
Yeah.
And I think that she is the most... Of all of the characters, I think Celeste is the most well-developed. And so to see what happens with her and everything that goes on, like her feeding Sid and whether or not you catch the fastest fish and feed him them so that Sid lives, or whether Sid dies, or she throws herself from the cliff, or whatever happens. She has a very emotional story, and I think of all of the characters in that game, she changes the most as the story goes on. Her fundamental personality changes. And I think that you see a lot of that in the Final Fantasy series. There's a lot of those types of characters, like even Vivi from 9. His story's a very, very interesting, redemptive story. Or even, Titus from 10.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, people say 10 was a love story. I think it's actually a redemption story for Titus. Coming to grips with who his father is and all of that. I don't pay attention to Final Fantasy X-2 because that was just...
Final Fantasy X-2 was the ultimate redemption story. Told through...
Dress spheres?
Pop music? And guns?
I will go with you that it was the ultimate female empowerment story. We finally got to see Yuna not being the shell of a person that she was in 10.
And not just an assist character to heal your party.
Yeah. I think Yuna's character in 10 really was just this, we need someone who can do this, so we're going to throw her in. She wasn't at all developed. And I think that they did develop her, and they gave her a lot of personality in 10-2. I hated the pop...
It was really dumb.
Everything. It was really dumb. It was really dumb. The dress spheres and, your job's based on what dress you're wearing. That's weird. That was weird. But, I think we do see a lot of these themes in, specifically RPGs. I think we see a lot of redemption type stories in RPGs. And I think that's why Red Dead Redemption stood out so much to me. Here's a guy who almost doesn't want to pull the trigger every time you pull. Like, you tell him in your controller, you tell him pull the trigger, and there's almost this sense of I really don't want to. going on to him, and that's why I love him.
You know, I like it because he made you care about the things he was doing, even if you didn't want to do them.
Yeah.
And you don't feel that in other Rockstar games. You don't feel that in Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto, you're killing everybody.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Don't care.
And I think this comes back to BioShock, which we're going to have a BioShock night.
Yes. And that's a redemptive story in itself. But it's
It
along
is.
the same lines as Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
You're an amnesiac. Redemption.
Yes.
You know, it's the
Same
amnesiac
with
redemption.
same with Booker. I think I honestly,
Booker.
you know, Booker is a very well developed character. Your character from the BioShock game isn't quite as developed as Booker is.
Well,
I don't
he's
even
the
think you have a
silent
name. You don't have a
protagonist.
name.
Jack.
Jack. Okay. I think that the redemption story is from Andrew Ryan.
Yeah.
Is his name right?
Yep.
I think that the creator of
Rapture.
Rapture redeems himself in that story.
I think he does.
Through you.
Yeah, through
I mean,
you.
you've got to make a really gruesome choice in order for him to do that. But
It's a fantastically gruesome choice.
yeah, you know, and even Booker was it the preacher?
Yeah.
Was that his? What was the
Comstock.
guy's name? Comstock. Which there was all sorts of craziness going on
Dude.
with Comstock and Booker, but I think eventually Booker realized that, you know, he had to drown himself in order to. And
just-
the whole game, it's all about self-preservation, right?
Mhm.
I mean, even the very beginning of the game, you know, bring us the girl, erase the dead, is the driving force of the game.
Yeah.
And as Booker slowly realizes who Elizabeth is, who he is, he does change throughout the game.
Yeah.
Until you finally get to that point where it's like, okay, I'm going to commit suicide. And,
Yeah.
I think John commits suicide to some
Yeah.
degree.
I mean, he knows he's going to his death.
Suicide by firing squad.
Yeah.
Would you kindly? You know.
You know, that final scene in Infinite, in Bioshock Infinite, with the multiple Elizabeths, you know, and the water, and just the musical cues and stuff, and just I wouldn't say overuse, but the repetition of the song. What's the song? Shoot. For Infinite, the hymn that's played
Something
over.
about the bird. It's a bird song, isn't
The
it?
Circle. No, it's the Circle.
Oh, the
song.
Circle, yeah.
It's a hymn,
Right.
but just it was a very powerful game.
Yes.
You know, and I listen to the soundtrack every now and then, and it's haunting, you know, and I don't know, it's a cool game, and
Yeah,
we really
I think
need to devote a full
Infinite
night to it.
Infinite very much paid service to the BioShock name. I don't feel like it was a miss at all.
And
I think it was a great game.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic game, and
Yeah.
is it better than the original BioShock? No, but just barely.
Yeah,
Just barely. But did you play the DLC? Have you played the DLC for that game yet?
Burial at Sea.
Yeah,
I haven't.
you need to, because
You go back to Rapture, right?
yeah, but it brings both games crashing together in a very fantastic way.
Oh, right on.
Like,
I'll have to check it out.
it's very well done.
So Batman. Well, I mean, we've been
We keep hitting
getting
Batman.
distracted. Don't distract us this time. I'm looking at you, chat.
Fool me once.
Yes. Ben Sweeney, we
Chat
haven't heard
serves.
anything from you. Chime in with your thoughts on this
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah, will the circle be unbroken? Thank you. Thank you, Sias. So Batman, in the Arkham games, is it a redemptive story? I think it's getting
Whose
there.
story is it? Whose redemption story is it?
Well, it's Batman's. Joker doesn't need to be redeemed, does he? Does he
Oh.
care about redemption? No.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But, you know, through Batman's
I don't know
eyes,
if
I
it's-
think it's becoming a redemption story in terms of the Joker.
But this was my question, though. I mean, yeah, Batman. Is it Batman's story, though, or is it Bruce Wayne's story?
Well, see, that's the ultimate thing. Is Batman or is he Bruce Wayne?
But specifically,
who's the real one? So,
specifically in the Arkham series.
I don't know.
I mean, because we could talk about the Dark Knight trilogy,
We could.
and I think that is
But that's a different... yeah.
you know, I think
That's a Bruce Wayne story.
is a Bruce Wayne story. The Arkham series, I don't know. I think it is leading to be a redemption story for Batman. I think that it is. I mean, beyond any spoiler or any statue that they do end, I think that the story has to end with Batman's death. I think we will see him die in this
You
game.
think so?
I do think
You think
we
they'll
will.
do it?
I think they will. And I say that because of the M rating. I think we're going to be dealing with a lot heavier themes in this game. A lot scarier stuff going on. And I think that Batman ultimately... I think he will die. But it comes back to the question, though. Is Batman... what is in Arkham Asylum, what is Batman's driving motivation?
To stop the Joker.
Okay. Does he change throughout the game? No.
He's just Batman.
He's just Batman. In Arkham City, does he change at all?
Yes.
You think so?
I think he does.
He won't cross his... This is the... And I think that Death of the Family, the comic book Death of the Family, plays to this really well. No matter what happens, he won't break that rule.
Right.
Why? Why will he not break that rule?
I think he won't break the rule because then, in his mind, and it's a very moral line that he's drawn, in his mind, if he crosses that line, even if it will save the entire city by him making that decision, he won't cross it because it will change him. It will make him...
See, and I think I agree with you.
It'll make him not who he is, who he set out to be.
And Van Sweeney still hasn't played any of the Batman games.
Come on, Van Sweeney.
I promise one of the nights you come on, Van Sweeney, we won't talk about Batman. But I think the reason why we talk about him so much is because so many of the themes that we have in gaming are in the Batman series. I mean, we have so much of the Batman series going on, and he's such a human character. He's not like Superman. No. I don't see Superman as human.
There was a great quote that I once read in a book. It was a psychology book. I'm trying to think of the title, but it was a psychology book, but it was talking about heroes. And it was saying that it said that Superman is the American dream, but Batman is the American reality.
Right.
And that always stuck with me because it was such a stark contrast and such an awesome analogy.
So talking about Batman specifically in the Arkham games, I think he realizes that if he were to cross it, what is the difference between Batman and the villains he fights? The villains have no problem killing.
Right.
And I think he realizes if he were to cross that line, I mean, he's already outside the law. Mm-hmm. Batman, I mean, he's fully aware that he's breaking the law.
He knows he's breaking the law.
So in that respect, he is a villain. Because he I don't want to say he has disregard for human life, but if it's going to prevent him from getting the bad guy, then I'm going to knock you out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take you out of the equation. So
he has no problem.
He has no problem
bodily harm.
And we see that in the Arkham series, right? I mean, he's totally down to take these guys out. That's a good point too. Sias, the difference is the villains indulge and he doesn't. But at the end of the day, the real difference between him and the villains is they kill and he won't. Mm-hmm. And so he won't cross that line because then he is them. And so I don't know necessarily that he needs to be redeemed. Because if it's not a Bruce Wayne story, right? Because, okay, we have Bruce Wayne becomes Batman because he wants to prevent other people going through what he went through as a child. So the redemption story of that is we see him have a child. We see Bruce Wayne shun the Batman persona in order to redeem him as a father and as a son. Right. And I don't know that we're going to get that in Arkham Knight.
Or would Batman's redemption be in the form of raising Gotham above its criminal element?
Can he?
I think he's trying to.
I think he is trying to.
He cannot do it. But he's trying to, he's forcefully barreling towards trying to do that and constantly trying to do that. He's never given up on the city of Gotham, even as rotten as it is. And we see a lot of that in Arkham Origins, talking about the foundation of the city.
Yes.
And a lot of the side quests, that we see.
Exactly.
We see a lot of that how the city was already built rotten, and there's no redeeming it. But I think Batman...
So I guess the question is the Arkham series a redemption story for Gotham?
It could be. Will Gotham be redeemed through Batman's death? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Is it a failed redemption city? And I think a lot of people are thinking that Batman will die, but he'll die in some grand, heroic way.
Oh, I don't think so.
In which he saves the city. But I don't think that's the story that Rocksteady will tell.
Because we've seen that with Dark Knight Trilogy already.
Yeah,
I mean, Batman died in this...
he'll die and he'll fail at what he set out to do. I think...
I do too, but I think
that will probably have the balls to pull that off.
I do too. I hope they do
I
too.
really hope they do. As much as I hate to see Batman die, if they do it in that way...
But I do think that Batman's death could be a catalyst for change in the Arkham Knight, or in Jason Todd, or in something. But I don't think in the game, I would be really disappointed if his death is, oh yes, I am the hero and
he dies, but he saves the city. If they're going to kill him, I want to see him die. I want to see the city crumble.
Yeah. And it would be a really, really bold choice.
It would be.
To have Batman fail. Permanently fail. But again, I don't know if that's necessarily a redemption story as it is just a really well-told story.
Right.
And I think, for Batman to be redeemed, he has to put himself out of business. He has to accept the fact, and that's the story we're going to see. He's going to pass the baton on to Nightwing.
Right.
And say, I've done this. And I think that would make sense from a story standpoint had they done that at the end of Arkham City.
Yeah. With
him, okay, I've taken out the Joker. This was my quest.
Right.
And now it's time for me to hang up my cape and cowl.
Yeah.
But... I don't know that we'll see that. I don't
think
Batman...
we will either. I do think you're right that in order to see a Batman redemption story, he has to remove the mask. He has to be done with.
He does. He has to be done. He has to be done with a Batman persona. He has to embrace, and he has to accept the fact that he can have a family. And I think death of the family is a great counterpoint to Arkham Knight. What I think we're going to see with Arkham Knight is because here's Batman, the Joker's pitting his family against him, and Joker's saying, they're not your family, I'm your family. Mm-hmm. And you see Bruce Wayne having
that
struggle of who is my family, who is it that I actually care about, and I think that's what we're going to see. In order to have a redemption story for Bruce Wayne, we have to see, okay, I can't care about the death of my parents, because every time he goes out as Batman, he's reliving the death of his parents.
Right.
Because that's his entire motivation is, my parents died, and I want to change the city. Excuse me. So in order to have that redemption story, I do think that we have to see the end of Batman.
Yeah.
I don't think it means the end of Bruce Wayne.
Right. But we need to see the end of Batman.
Oh man, I got the hiccups. Sorry, guys.
Do we want to switch over to our full screen?
We can. You want to?
Let's do that. Because I feel like we're not doing a lot of playing.
We aren't, because the topic's interesting.
It's hard to talk about it and play at the same time.
But yeah, I think redemption stories in general in gaming really allow us as gamers to examine our choices in gaming and say, okay, if I was faced with this choice, if I was faced with the choice that John is at the end of the game, protect my family by sacrificing my own life, or continue to run as I always have, what choice am I going to make? Oh, Sias is talking about the Fallout reveal.
The Fallout review?
Yeah, there's a website, fallout.bethsoft.com.
Yeah.
And they said we should be excited about it. We were talking about that before we went on.
Oh, the reveal.
The reveal.
I was like, review.
Sorry, yeah, reveal. What was I saying? Yeah, I think the reason why we don't see too many of these redemption stories is because they are very hard to deal with. What was the main comment about The Last of Us when it came out? What did everybody say? It was an amazing story, but holy crap, it was hard.
It was bleak.
It was depressing.
Yeah.
and I think the redemption stories, the ones that we get in gaming, I don't think we've seen a successful redemption story. And when I say successful, I mean a happy ending.
Right.
We haven't seen a happy ending redemption story in gaming. And I think it's because we have to be faced with that choice as gamers of, okay, instead of just going around and shooting people like we are in Saints Row or in GTA or Call of Duty, whatever, any of these games, that we have
15,
to be,
the Halloween.
The Haloing. We have to be forced with these questions of who we are and why we're doing what we're doing. And I think that Red Dead Redemption does a really, really good job of that. Because, there is, okay, John's shooting these people. But at the same time, he's feeling remorse and he's expressing remorse to his family, expressing remorse to his son of the life that he's chosen and the life that he's been forced into.
Right.
And even with the contracts that he gets involved in, hunting down his old gang, he doesn't want to do it. He wants to leave that life behind.
Yeah.
And so every time you pull the trigger, you're bringing the past closer to him. And I think that's one of the beauties of this game, is that you are constantly fighting this dichotomy of I'm this person in the past and I'm this person now. They don't jive. Which one is going to win out? And it does beg the question of what would you do? What would you do at the end? Would you open the barn door?
I don't know. I'd like to say that I would.
I'd like to say that I would too.
But bullets can be scary.
So this was another one I wanted to talk about, Spec Ops: The Line. I think that was a really underrated game.
I think so too.
Because it does deal with this very question of what would you do if you were in this situation? What would you do? And how far you'll go to do it.
Right.
And it's a really, really hard theme to get right, and a really, really hard theme to deal with when it is right. I loved The Last of Us. I thought it was an amazing game. I have no desire to play that game again. I don't want to relive.
It was taxing. No.
Yeah, I don't want to live through it again. That's why when they came out with the HD remaster, I was like, not gonna pick it up because I don't need to see all of that in HD.
Right.
And it's not the graphics or anything like that. It's the emotions that you feel as you're playing that game, and that's what Game Ledger is really about. Is the emotional experience that you're having with gaming.
Yeah, that connection you feel.
And I think these types of stories, redemption stories in gaming, are some of the most powerful experiences that we can have as a gamer.
I think so.
Because it really does force you to look at yourself and say, not necessarily why am I doing this in game, but why am I playing this game? Mm-hmm. Why did I choose Red Dead Redemption? And just really quickly, I wanted to talk about Van Sweeney. Thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for joining.
Get some sleep, man.
Come back.
Yeah, we'll be back Friday. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll be here.
Just one quick point before we end. These two games came out around the same time. Red Dead Redemption and Gun.
Yeah.
Both of them dealing with cowboys. Both of them dealing with the Old West. Honestly, I don't remember jack about Gun.
What I remember about Gun is it's very much a video game. There's weird boss fights that don't really fit the setting. And it's the same for, Gun felt more like Red Dead Revolver than it did Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Revolver was a very weird Japanese interpretation of what a Western should be. But it also felt very, and in that it felt like really arcadey.
Right.
It was a very arcade type game where the bosses were outlandish and had huge health bars and stuff. We didn't get any of that with Redemption. It was a Western story. It really had that focus and that mindset.
Well, and it was John's story.
Yeah, it was John's story. And Gun wasn't like that.
No.
Gun was fun, but it just felt like another video game. It could have been any game. It
could have been any game. Exactly.
You know,
it could have been any game. And Red Dead Redemption definitely could not. This is the game they made.
Right.
And there are, themes and there's things about it that remind me of other games, but ultimately it stands alone as this is a must-play experience for any gamer. And I think because it plays into that, you so badly want to escape John's fate as a gamer.
Yeah.
I mean, that moment hits you so hard. You're like, wait, I can take these guys out. I'm good enough.
Yeah.
I'm good enough to take all of them out.
And that's the beauty of it. The game trains you to think that you're good enough.
Yes.
You've survived every other encounter using your dead trigger.
Exactly.
Why can't you survive this one?
Because you can't.
Yeah.
Because I think the reason you can't
perfectly beautiful
is because John himself doesn't want to escape.
Right.
So no matter what you do as a gamer, I think that's really what makes John stand out to me. And I get it. He's code, and I get it. They designed it this way, but it's done so well done that it really does feel like John is in control in those last moments, regardless of what you do as a player, regardless of what you're putting into the controller. John's in charge.
Yeah,
and he makes the choice, and I think that was the issue that people had with Mass Effect 3's ending was, we've had all this choice, and choice is so important in all these gamings, and then it comes down to this is the choice that was made. And I have issues with that end. I'm not saying that it was perfect, but I do think that it was similar to what happened in Red Dead Redemption. We've grown to really want John to survive. We want him to be redeemed. We want him to run off into right off into the sunset with his family. And the fact that John makes the choice for us really is disturbing.
Yeah.
And we want so badly to take control and kill everyone.
And I think that's why he is redeemed at the end of the game.
I do too.
He makes that ultimate choice.
He does.
Makes the choice to do that.
Yeah.
And then the extra twist of the knife is it doesn't do any good for his family.
For his son. It does no good for his son.
Yeah. And I think that it's a good story.
It is a good story.
Good storytelling.
It's like, okay, was his sacrifice worth anything? To him, it was. I mean, to John as a character, I think that was him finally coming to peace with who he was as a person.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why it had to be told through the lens of a Western.
Yes.
Because that's how that's how it is. The West, the Old West, the Cowboy West. It was an unforgiving landscape.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's why they chose this setting to tell this story.
Well, and I mean that's a good question. Would this type of story work in another setting?
Would it work in space in the future?
Well, I think they tried that with Mass Effect 3.
Didn't really work.
Well, because of the way they did things, but I don't know. I don't know that you could lift John out of this environment and have him be John.
Yeah.
But I do think that you could see similar, the similar themes in another setting. And Planescape Torment deals a lot with this. Now, again, you get the whole amnesia thing going on. But there are a lot of these kinds of ideas in that game, and I think any game that makes me question why I'm doing things has that sort of redemptive quality to it. Because I'm sitting there saying, okay, why am I making the decisions that I am? What emotions are being played up with the music or with whatever it is that's making me, choose these decisions. Yeah. And I think Red Dead does such an amazing job with that.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, and I think the capacity to tell these redemptive stories can be seen a lot in the survival horror genre.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Silent Hill series. Not so much Resident Evil, because that's just about killing zombies and mutations and science getting out of hand. But with Silent Hill, you have these characters who are very flawed characters, very human characters, driven by human desires and human failures.
Yeah.
A lot of them are...
Wait, are you going to say that Silent Hill 2 is a redemption story?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
go with you on it.
I'll say it.
I'll go with you on it.
It might take...
I completely disagree.
It might take a completely this might take us another full night to discuss this. But I think a lot of the Silent Hill stories are redemption stories.
No, I agree with you. I don't know that 2 is.
I would argue that it is.
Why?
For the fact that James Sunderland, the main character, regardless of the ending you get, the basic idea is that the entire game, he's being confronted by his past. And when he finally realizes that, he accepts it. And it's symbolized in the second to final boss fight, where you face off with the 2 pyramid heads. The symbolism that's there is one of them represents new blood, one of them represents old blood, and he has to kill off both of them in order to move on. And he kneels down on the ground in front of the 2 and supplicates himself to him, and then he stands up and said, "It's time to end this." That's after the realization of what he's done to his wife, that he's killed his wife. I think it is a redemption story. It's a very...
I'll go with you that he does kind of redeem himself from killing his wife. But, let's compare him to John. Okay. John redeems himself of his own free will and choice.
Yes.
James is forced through horror and torture in order to realize what a horrible person he is.
Well, and it's a very Silent Hill lens form of redemption.
Yes.
In the world of Silent Hill, redemption will come through blood.
In the world of Silent Hill, I will say that James was redeemed. But if you take him out of Silent Hill, had he never gone... Had he never gone to Silent Hill,
no, he would have
never changed.
No, Silent Hill was the redeeming fire.
Would have John changed? And in any other circumstance, would have John eventually changed? I believe so.
I think so too.
I think because he wanted what was right for his son.
He had that sense of right.
I don't think James did.
I don't think so either.
The only reason why he did was I'm going to end this torture. So it wasn't necessarily redemption of his own volition, but rather redemption to put an end to it, and which isn't quite as strong
not quite as strong
emotion.
But it's still a form of redemption.
Yeah.
Whether you're dragged kicking and screaming into your redemption or you go of your own free will.
Well, yeah,
you're still redeemed in the end. You know what I mean?
Kind of.
You see what I'm leaning to?
I can see why you would say kind of.
James Sunderland is dragged kicking and screaming into it.
Yes.
But to his credit, he accepts what he did, and he owns up to it, and he faces the consequences of what he did. Right? Is there any greater consequence than being stuck in Silent Hill?
No, but I don't. I get what you're saying. I don't think that.
I think it is different forms of redemption.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. And it's a different emotion, right? We're not playing Silent Hill. We're not experiencing James' story and saying, "Why am I doing this?" We're experiencing James' story and saying, "This guy's horrible. He deserves what he's getting."
But we don't know that until the end.
I know, but retrospect. With John, after the ending, we want to go back and try and beat him all. We want to go back.
We want to
try and save him
to endure because he's a good person.
Yeah, exactly.
He has follies, many follies, but he's a good person. With
James, it's kind of like
James Sunderland.
Whatever.
We're talking a lot about James here. So James Marston is a good person. James Sunderland.
John.
Man, where did I come? Oh, the actor James Marsden.
Yeah. That's
what I was thinking. Okay, so John. Yeah, John is a he's a good.
He's a good guy.
He's a good person. James.
He's an anti-hero. John is an anti-hero.
Yeah.
James is a villain.
Yeah.
A very, very bad person.
Personified beautifully through Red Pyramid Head.
Yes. No, I think it's a great story, and I it's an experience, that's for sure. Silent Hill 2 is a roller coaster. But at the end of the game, I had no desire to see James live.
No.
When he drives into the lake, I'm like...
It was a fitting end.
It was a slow clap for me.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. That said, I could see he does kind of redeem himself, but on that bombshell, I say we.
It always either goes, most of our shows either end up going to Batman or back to Silent Hill.
Back to Silent Hill.
Tonight we went everywhere.
Both.
We did a tour de force of
Yes.
Gotham and Silent Hill. Is Gotham Silent Hill?
I'm Yogi Bear 123 who wants to know what we're talking about. We are talking about redemption stories in gaming, specifically Red Dead Redemption.
Yes.
But we are wrapping up our stream.
Yeah, we're actually ending that, so please join us next time.
Yes.
What are we going to talk about
Friday
next time?
night,
What do we want to talk about? We've been hinting a lot about BioShock. Are we ready to
Do we
tackle
want to
that
do
yet?
Bioshock? We can do Bioshock.
We can do it. Should we do BioShock?
Saya says Silent Hill 2 was such a mind trip. I agree.
I love Silent Hill too, man.
I wish we had the recording of our playthrough through PT.
You know, we do need to revisit PT.
We do.
But man, I wish that would have saved.
I wish we could have saved that one
that was a
because
good
it was
night.
so classic.
That was a really fun night.
Yes, Friday. We do Bioshock unless I come up with something else.
Okay, if you think of something else, but tentatively we'll visit
We'll talk
Rapture
about-
and Columbia.
But and what theme are we going to talk about though?
Oh, mind trips? I don't know.
Surprise endings in gaming. Plot twists.
I don't know, that seems like kind of a cheap theme to talk
Yeah,
about.
me too.
We'll think about the
Yes.
over theme, but
There will be a
we'll
theme.
probably be talking about BioShock with a grander theme.
There will be a grander theme with Bioshock.
Maybe the
And we could talk about Ayn Rand and
We
kind
could.
of the
We'll talk about the
Objectivism.
themes that inspired it, you know.
yeah.
But I think the over what about like the theme of like choice in gaming? It kind of goes back to our
Lovecraft
talk,
talk.
but it's very a BioShock sensibility.
It
where
is.
We think we're controlling the outcome, and
It would be interesting to kind of compare. I mean, the two big choice games that have come out recently, Bioshock and Mass Effect, and talk about the two. That could be interesting. We will come up with something awesome.
so yeah,
Cause
most
and
likely
effect,
BioShock.
Sias says. Cause and effect. And Fate. I think Fate is actually a really good topic to talk for
Light-
Bioshock.
Lighthouses.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Thank you all for joining.
Yep. Thanks for our new followers.
Yes,
We love you guys,
we love you guys very much.
and join us next time,
Friday,
Friday.
same bat time, same bat channel. In fact, Colt may even wear his Batman cowl for the night.
I think that'd be
Maybe we could get Gamer Mexi to do it.
Oh, if we could have Gamer Mexi cowled up,
Yes,
that'd be awesome.
that would be awesome. We'll see if we can talk
see if we
Gamer
can do
Mexi into that.
We will see.
Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.